If you're thinking about buying a house, whether it's your dream home, second home, an investment property, or a summer place down in Cape May, Joe, then I want to give you guys a little bit of information that I've learned over the years that has been very helpful. I would say one of my, I was going to say superhero strengths, but it's kind of dramatic, right? But one of my strengths is getting creative. When I started out, like yesterday's video, I said I had a 520 credit score, no cash, and no real work history. I wasn't BSing you guys. That's where I started. So when you start off with not having everything in place that makes you and in the lending business called like a slam dunk. Like you got a borrower that comes in there with like an 800 credit score, a work history that's like really a good work history with great income, and they have like $500,000 in a bank and they're looking to buy a $500,000 house. You're like, slam dunk. That wasn't my situation. I didn't have anything going, and credit was one of the biggest obstacles I had to overcome in the beginning. This morning I heard that the content of the video is way more important than a fancy studio, so please take that into consideration. This is the 4 C's of lending. I'm sure if you want to, you could find something with 3 C's of lending, 4 C's of lending, 5, 7. My point is that these are the 4 C's that I've concentrated on over the years and have improved, and I want to share some of them with you guys. I got a star next to the first C, credit. That's what I'm going to be talking about today, the history of paying back. Capacity, that's the ability to repay. Collateral, that's the object that you have in mind that you want to borrow and put that up as collateral, a house, a car. I put down a cow. It was a time in New Mexico when this really big mortgage broker told me that he took a cow instead of down payment on a place. That's why I put cow. And the last C is capital or cash. Before we go any further, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of inquiries or comments like, hey, where'd you get that shirt, Harry? I want to get one of those shirts. Bad news is, when I met Diane, she had a clothing store, and I found this up in the attic. I think it's from like the 60s or 70s. It's a Wrangler snap button thing, like Western. I usually don't wear Western, but it's really comfortable. How about the grass behind me? I told you guys I was going to cut it yesterday. When I talk about credit, I want to give you a little bit of background. Personal background is I had that 520 credit score like I told you guys about. It was because I deserved the 520 credit score. I didn't pay my bills on time. I'm embarrassed to say that sometimes I would borrow money with no intentions of paying it back. And for a while, it stung. Then it settled in. And then that sting kind of went away. It was just a dull throbbing pain. I don't want to get too deep here, but it impacted other areas of my life. I didn't feel like whole or something like that. It was embarrassing. I felt guilt. Little story, in my 30s, I can remember having to borrow a credit card from my dad because I couldn't get a credit card. So whenever I needed a hotel or I just needed a credit card for anything, I'd have to go to my dad in my 30s to borrow a credit card. It didn't make me feel that good, and it flowed over into other areas of my life. I'm saying that to you because if you've ever had bad credit or you currently have bad credit, you know what I'm talking about, and it doesn't have to be like that. Here's an analogy for you. I'm laughing because it's kind of crude, but it's true. Before I got punched in the face when I was a kid, I was so scared about getting punched in the face. Then I got punched in the face, and I was like, still didn't feel that good, but it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to feel. Same thing with cleaning up credit. I know for me, I buried my head in the sand and didn't do anything about it because I thought it was going to be so painful, so difficult. It was going to be such a long process. And then I did it. I was like, I should have did that years ago. I want to show you guys my garden in the back. And the way that I know that real estate is like my thing is because I could turn any subject or topic into a discussion about real estate. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so let's walk over to the garden. I have 6 tomato plants, and I did not do this intentionally, but I just so happen to have 6 houses that I rent out. Each one of these tomato plants, I'd like to say that I intentionally planted 6 plants because I have 6 properties, but that would be a lie. Each one of these plants represents the house, a house that I have. And as I go along with the houses, I get to treat them like a garden. And as the equity accumulates through appreciation, loan pay down, I get to take cash out of those in the form of a cash out refinance. Cash out refinance on an investment property, guess what? Tax free. I'm like so excited about it because, like I shared yesterday, when I started getting into real estate, buying real estate, then I found out some of these secrets no one was telling me about. You can do a cash out refinance on an investment property and not pay any tax. None. El Zippo. You pay the tax if you sell the property, but if you hold on to the property forever, you could do it over and over again, kind of like a garden. So maybe one of the houses doesn't really have enough equity that I could pick any fruit off of. However, there might be some where the fruit is growing. I crack myself up sometimes. We have a couple properties that we've had for I think the longest property that we have is 4 years old right now. And we have refinanced it twice, took cash out, over $100,000 each time, with no taxes paid. I don't know what tax bracket you're in, but if you're, just to do simple math, if you're in the 25% tax bracket and you made $100,000 income, there's 25 right off the top. Never mind all those other FIFA, SICA, whatever the initials are that you got get taken out. So you get $100,000 tax free, and you can go out and do whatever you want with it. I like those kind of gardens. I kind of alluded to the tip I'm going to give you about credit, cleaning it up or rebuilding it or getting your credit score higher. But before I give it to you in plain English, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll watch guys that are on there that are really good at marketing. But practically speaking, I'm a little cynical. I don't like them. I have a problem. I'm laughing because I still listen to them. They kind of pump me up, but I know what I'm listening to. I have a problem with somebody making like, I don't know, $100 million from the sale of a business that they had, and now having a studio where they're giving like great advice. I mean, they're great as far as when you listen to them. Then they ask you to send them a gift of $5 or $10. I'm laughing because I'm going to say it right now. I will never do that. And if I do that, I don't even ask you guys to subscribe or hit like. By the way, you should subscribe and hit like. If I ever ask you guys for money or something like that, I definitely deserve hate mail at that time. To be like, hey, Hattie, on June 20th. On June 20th, you said you would never, and here you are, you're asking for a gift of $1. I don't know what kind of accent that is. I mean no offense to anybody that has an accent like that. It's just the accent, the only one I know. So if I ever do that, I want hate mail. I deserve it. All right, without further ado, here's your best tip I could possibly give you about credit. I don't ever want to come across as a guru. I'd rather share my experience with you, and if you get something off of that, then that's great. I don't want people to tell me what I should do, and I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. And having bad credit impacted my life in so many different ways. If you're out there and you have bad credit, it doesn't have to be like that. I know what I did in order to clean up my credit, and I know what it's like to have good credit now. And that's the message I'm trying to send out to you guys. Here's my advice. Just do it. You know where to start. Like if you say, oh, he's not getting specific, order a credit report. Take a look at your credit. When I say that, the hair on the back of my neck stands up because of how much fear I was in when I did that. I understand the fear. I'm telling you, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. Just do it. Order a credit report. Look it over. See what's inaccurate on there. There's so much you could do without even coming out of pocket any money. Tell me that you guys did that, and then I'm going to tell you some creative ways to get your credit score like 800,